Hey guys. Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Hello World with your girl Joy from Be the Difference Clothing. How is everyone doing? I hope you're doing good. Hey Gigi's gluten free. What's going on? Hey JC. How are you? Good to see you guys so far. Tonight is going to be amazing. First and foremost, what I need to do is check to see if I'm buffering. And let me see. So, how is everyone doing? Let's see. I'm trying to see if my phone will refresh, play. Okay. Mm-mm. All right. Just when your device decides to do something divisive. Hey, Kingdom Boy, how are you? How was everyone's day? How was everyone's day? I hope it was amazing. I hope it was good. Despite anything that's going on, how was your day? My day was good. So I woke up this morning and then um, I did some work, guys. I have a few items that I'm working on. I have some socks that I'm working on, and I think I completed one more pair, one more design. I have to, after I've completed what I want, I need to go to my artist and hopefully get that going. I'm good. Someone needed a life coach on your IG, so you help. Oh, good, Kingdom Boy. I'm glad you were of service. That's the point, guys. We need to be of service, of service, of service. And you know what the cool thing about that is? I have a guest tonight who is of service, nothing but service. So that's really good. Hey, Wanda, how are you? What's going on, Jaden? How are you? Welcome to Hello World. How are you guys doing? So I sent off a few items today from orders. Hey, Chloe, what's going on? How are you? Welcome to Hello World. Um, I sent off a few packages and then I went to Walmart and I waited online again for maybe 15 minutes. It wasn't long, but it was just amazing. Now it's a state mandate that you have to wear a mask in order to be served. Yesterday, I went to a convenience store. I wanted a bag of chips. He was like, "No, I can't serve you." I was like, "Why?" Now, you guys know I don't watch TV and stuff like that. And I didn't see anything on my news feed about that. But yeah, you have to wear a mask. So I went and got my mask, put it on, and I was able to buy something. I'm like, wow. I just hope that these laws do not stay. And that's another reason why I'm glad that I have a guest tonight, because maybe he can give us a little, glimpse on whether some of these laws that they're passing will be permanent for our futures. Um, Here we don't have to wait. Yeah, it's mandatory now. It's mandatory. They're in New York going around channel. Okay, Jaden. Okay. So anyway, guys, I'm not going to prolong it, but I have a guest tonight. If you guys have been following Hello World and Be the Difference, oh, let me just get out a few things. Hey, LSP, what's going on? Okay, no problem. I wanted to give you guys a few things, reminders. I'm looking for one more YouTube model. The minimum requirement is 500 subscribers. You must go live and you must be able to wear this stuff, wear the t-shirt when you're live. Not all the time, but at least once or twice a month during your live. And as an added bonus to me, if you wouldn't mind, to just to model it on your social medias. Email me at info@beethedifferencellc.com, or you can just look in the link down below in the description and you'll see the email address down there. It says for collaborations. And the other thing is I have a join button, a membership button, and the perk is really cool. So check that video out in order to get the details. It's only a minute video, so we spend so many minutes doing everything else. So why not, right? Just check it out. And if you would like to join, you're more than welcome to. If not, you're still always welcome to be here at Hello World. Now that I got that out of the way, so if you've been following Hello World for a while, you'll know the person that I'm bringing up. His name is Corey. And at the time, Corey, he was just a straight in activist mode, like helping and servicing others, just like what Kingdom Boy did with his friends on Instagram. He was of service. I've known Corey for some time, and I met him from vending. He purchased a pair of my socks, and he was just really cool, very compassionate, very nice, very supportive. Enjoyed the idea of Be the Difference. Was behind us all the way. And so now, after a year or two, Corey is now a part of the political arena in his town. But the great thing about Corey is that he is of service to the community. If there's an injustice going on, Corey will be there and see it through to the end. So I appreciate that about Corey. And I'm thankful that he decided to come back to Hello World. And if you have any questions for Corey, please put a question mark in front of your question and a question mark behind it so that we can highlight it and ask him. And please be respectful, be kind, and keep an open heart and an ear. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Corey L. Teague. Hey,
Good evening.
how are
Good
you?
evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Doing pretty good. Mixed emotions today. As I was telling you, I've had some casualties in my family and friends from this COVID situation,
Hmm.
but we're still here. Can't be completely doom and gloom. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Well, apologies
Hmm.
for your loss. Was she somebody that you knew?
Yeah, most of them were friends. Some lived in New Jersey. Some lived in New York, and some were actually down south in Virginia. But there's so many. The biggest issue I have with this is that they knew about this last year and they didn't prepare for it, on the federal level.
Mhm.
And, I think that the $2 trillion that they're giving out is almost like a way to pacify the masses. Because when have you known them to just give away money? The, the 2020 budget that the president presented, he was cutting everything he could get his hands on. And now all of a sudden he's giving away $2 trillion. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So we have to really ask ourselves, what is this for? Is this for us to be quiet or just go in our corners and not say anything? Or because I really feel like we have to make a noise about this, like of our world leaders, who knew about this? When did they first learn about it? And why weren't we notified until after it took place? You know what I mean?
Right, right,
In
right.
the States. Why did it take so long? It's almost as if they pretended that it hit them by surprise when you do so much research and you see that this was really on the horizon, like I said, back in November, December. They knew about it, and for whatever reason, they chose not to mention it. And I mean, I can understand, you don't want to cause mass hysteria, but at the same time, having us prepared, we could have been wearing masks in December to try to coin off whatever was supposed to outbreak. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of my frustration with that. That's kind of where I want to take off that political hat, put on that activist hat again, and like
Okay.
stir up some commotion because I think that we were put behind the eight ball with this, and it's really not. People are losing loved ones left and right, and I think the after effect is what's really going to be the biggest issue. Not
I
so
think
much.
I
Go ahead.
think we're already having after effects.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. You can
we're
see it
getting
already.
the aftershocks. The back, what's that? The
Mhm.
backlash?
Yeah,
The backdraft. And
yeah. I mean,
yep.
think about the amount of counseling people are going to need now. I mean, we're even losing pastors. I don't know if you all heard about Detroit, the Church of God in Christ, which is probably the largest Pentecostal denomination on earth. They have maybe 1 billion people in their organization, and they lost just about all of their state leaders in Michigan, in the Northeast Michigan jurisdiction, from the jurisdictional bishop, adjutants, because they were all together and they all contracted
The virus.
COVID, right? The coronavirus.
Oh, you got to be
And
careful with that on YouTube. I know they're allowing people to say it, but usually they're
okay,
shutting people's lives down when you say the whole
okay,
thing. So we just refer to it as the virus.
that's the virus. Yes.
Mhm.
So yes, so I mean, it is spooky when you really look at the statistics and you really look at how this is really, look at them, because they always put up maps and they show you like a diagram of where it's starting and how it's spreading, or how they can flatten the curve. I'm sure you heard that expression,
Mm.
where they want to flatten the curve, but they don't really explain to the community what the curve is. What is the curve that they want to flatten? You know what I mean? They kind of throw terminology out to the people and say, okay, everything's okay. We're just flattening the curve. And then you walk up to the average person, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't even know why we have to wear masks.
What is it? What is the flattening
Well,
curve? Anybody that may
the
not know.
curve is what they're dealing with now is an inverse curve. And an inverse curve, the inverse curve here is the amount of new patients that are admitted to the hospital versus the amount of patients who die or contract the actual, or and end up being impacted by the full effect of the virus. So what they're trying to do is lessen the amount of people who have to be hospitalized, to flatten that part of the curve, in hopes that it will diminish the amount of people who are contracting it and ultimately dying from it. So they're hoping if they can lower the amount of people that actually go to the hospital, it will lower the amount of people who die from it.
Right. So
My
basically,
concern, say again,
no real statistics.
say again,
I said basically no real statistics.
no real statistics, because the people who are not going, these new cases that are not going to the hospital, what if they don't want to go? Or what if they're afraid to go? What if they don't know they have a reason to go? You know? So it's almost like a false hope. I mean, it's, okay, so you don't have a lot of people going to the hospital, but does that mean those people are not sick? Or does it just mean that they're not going to the hospital? Because those are two very serious questions. I don't really hear our world leaders asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
They're just saying flattening the curve, and looks like some, they're saying like, okay, New York City, they said they had about 300 cases down from what they had a few days ago in terms of people being hospitalized. But then on the flip side, almost 800 people died in the last 24 hours. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So what are they really telling us with this?
Right.
That's the big issue that I have. Like I said, as an elected official, which I don't think I was the last time I
No,
came
no,
on.
no. We were rooting you on.
You were.
Yeah.
I'm sure I remember that twice. But even now, I just want to kind of put that activist hat on a little bit. I'm trying to find somebody in the community who can get up enough courage to question the powers that be, and just say, hey, appreciate a couple extra bucks, but we really want to know what's going on. And we know that there's levels of clearance when you're dealing with national pandemics or national outbreaks. There are levels of clearance where you may have a certain amount of information, and then there's a certain amount of information you may not be aware of. We understand that, but it still feels like we're being left out.
Well, let me ask you a question. So, I know we just started right off on the bat just talking, but can you tell everybody who you are, why you started what you're doing, and what position you're in, and if you want to talk about where you're from and what
Okay.
position you're in?
All right. So I'm an activist, a community activist / elected official now. I started out, it's kind of a funny story. I started out being an activist in 7th grade,
Yeah.
21. And we actually protested because we kept getting hot milk. It was in April, May of that year, and they kept serving us hot milk, hot sandwiches, stuff that was stale. So as a student body, I was able to get the students in my class or in my grade, in my lunch period, we actually stood outside of cafeteria and didn't go in. So it was a protest in a way. And even though the principal had something to say about it, surprisingly enough, we didn't get really suspended because all the students were standing there. And we got what we wanted. And at that moment, that's when I realized, hey, I should do this more often. And I went through school. I did what I needed to do in school, but I never lost that part of me that wanted to stand up and protect people or help people when their rights are being violated or they're just not being treated correctly. And I carried on from when I was in seventh grade all the way up until the most recent. I think the most recent case that a lot of people probably know me or familiar is with the Jameek Lowry case, which took place in 2019, last year, January. Um, very briefly, basically, a young man went into the police station trying to get help, and he ended up dead. And we, recently, after all this time, I don't think I told you this, Joy, but after all this time, we finally got the independent autopsy back, and it was confirmed that he died as a result of the police. It was confirmed by the
Was it
pathologist,
blunt
and
force
that was
trauma?
recent.
Blunt force trauma,
Yes,
or wow.
yes, yes. So it was finally after all this time, it was finally confirmed. So I mean, what I do is I like to stand up for folks who have been mistreated and abused by the system and by the government that's supposed to be by the people and for the people. And one day recently, I mean, I have ran for the school board in the past unsuccessfully, but one day recently in 2019, I think it was in July, someone approached me and said, the only way you can really fix this is if you get in there. You can shout from outside all you want, but until you're at the table, unless you have a seat at the table, you're on the menu.
Mm.
So they pushed me to run. I wasn't going to run. I actually turned in my petitions, and that's funny too because I didn't get my petition signed. They actually went around in the community and got the signatures.
Okay.
All I had to do was take them to the notary and get them notarized. That's how much. That's why I said this was truly a community ran campaign. We had no money. We had
Mhm.
no money. We had flyers that you could make on the computer, design on the computer. We didn't have all these machines and these big political machines. We didn't have any of that, and we were still the top vote getter. And it wasn't it had anything to do with being the most popular, having a big machine. It was that the people decided they wanted a fighter up there who's going to fight for the people. You know, and I often mention that, that when you the power of the people is greater than the people in power.
Thank
That's
you.
that's my that's my biggest statement. And
I
we
say it
proved it.
all the time. I say it
Yeah,
all
we
the time.
yeah
I say
we
it
proved
all
that.
the time, y'all. If everybody
Absolutely.
stands together,
Hmm.
you can
Yeah,
tell
we
people what
proved it.
to do. We just have to do
Hmm.
it.
That's right.
Hmm.
And we proved it. And to this day, they're still kind of dumbfounded as how in the world did that happen? As the people got together, they said that's enough. We want to change. So that's basically what I do. It's a mixture of being an elected official and also being an activist. So you know what? I'm able to go to the council meetings when I'm not at a board meeting making decisions because I'm part of the governing body of the school district. We have 29,000 students, close to 30,000, and we have a budget of a little over $500 million, you know, and there's nine of us that pretty much control the district along with the superintendent. So when I'm not at one of those meetings, I can go to the council meeting and still go to the microphone and address issues that are in the community where folks have approached me and said, we need you to speak up on this or that. I have had people try to tell me, make sure you don't mention certain names and things like that. But I often tell them when I'm at the microphone at the council meeting, as long as I'm not mentioning district employees, I'm good. If I'm mentioning issues and situations that are going on in the community, I have every right to do that. And so far, I haven't been challenged on it. So that's pretty much where I am right now.
Do you want to
But
go? Do you want to? Do you want to go higher in as an elected official, like to different positions? Maybe going into the actual council award.
I've been asked that, but my thing is this: in this city, when you if you move up, a lot of times you end up having to go along with whatever was put in place for you to get there. You understand what I mean? It's like
Right.
almost like joining a fraternity or a sorority.
But that's what politics is about, though.
That's what it's about. I mean, at least at my level, I can kind of be bold because I can tell them, look here, if let's say I don't win re-election, it's not going to affect my pocket because it's a volunteer position. So there's really no threat. You understand what I mean? If I would lose the school board, it's not a threat. It's not gonna. But if you're in the seat and you got elected, and you're making $80,000 a year from your elected position, and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we can get you out of there," now you're a little upset because that could impact your bottom line, because that substantiates your income. That $80,000 a year extra kind of substantiates it.
Now,
So there's almost.
Do they hold a job like a regular job too, or is just being elected official their full-time job?
Some of them do.
Okay.
There's at least 3 of them who do on the city council. There's at least 3 of them that have full-time jobs, but I do know several of them that don't work. That they do the council work full-time. Now, even though they do the council work full-time, it's still only paid as a part-time employee. Like you don't get paid full-time, you get paid as a part-time, which is in Patterson like 41,000 a year, which is still pretty significant if you adding that to, maybe if you were getting a pension or if you're retired or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or if you're working another job, that 41,000, 40-something thousand that you get, it's a couple of extra coins that you could actually do some different things with. Mm-hmm. So when the threat of losing that is over your head, some people fold, and they try to be neutral and I'm not going to get too bothered. And then you even have folks that are on the school board in volunteer position. They have aspirations to go into those higher offices, so they'll kind of stay out. Because Joy, I know you recognize that there wasn't many elected officials in Patterson. There weren't any elected officials in Patterson speaking up on it.
No. Well, they couldn't. They couldn't.
Say it again.
They probably couldn't.
See what I mean? Yeah, because there was no. Even after I won, I was still coming to the microphone with it. Still bringing it up to this day.
Corey,
I don't get donations from the police department. So
there's someone is saying hello to you. Her name is Miss TR. She said, "Hey Corey, from my hometown. Much love from Miss TR."
Okay, I think I know TR. Yes.
Okay, she said, "Hey."
Yes. I was on her show. If that's the same one, I believe I know who that is.
Okay, yeah, she said she used to be on the radio.
Yes. How you doing? I know exactly what that is. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I mean, yeah. So at this point, yeah, I'm still fighting. I mean, there's several pending cases that we have in terms. When I say cases, I don't mean like I'm not a private eye, but I mean cases in terms of civil rights and getting justice for situations that are going on right now. I have a young lady right now who's in the Cumberland County jail, and for some different situations, and she has a halal diet, and they have not been accommodating that diet, and we're still fighting to try to figure out why they want to accommodate that. See, those things, they may seem minuscule,
right?
If you're in that situation, it's major. Right. That's not how you. So it's like you're not eating because they're not giving you the food that you eat, your religious diet, and you're supposed to be able to respect someone's religious diet, or if it's a medical condition where they can't eat certain things, those things are supposed to be respected, So that's just an idea of some of the cases that I get on a daily basis often.
Has
even
life
now
changed for you?
Say again?
Has life changed for you since you've been elected?
Yeah, it's gotten hectic. Like now, as you can see here, I have another phone. I've had to got 2 phones now because they're constantly ringing. I mean, at nighttime I don't get a whole lot, but during the day, especially now that schools are out and parents are worried about will their child be left behind if certain work isn't done, or I don't even know if we're going to have a graduation this year or a prom. It all depends on the governor of New Jersey, whether he lifts the ban on, social distancing piece. It's going to be pretty hard to go to prom with a mask on,
No, but it's not impossible. You still can go.
It's not impossible. I mean, and I was trying to figure out a way to do it with the 6 foot, the 6 feet, the 6 feet mandate. I don't know if you had an idea about how to do that. I'm not sure.
I mean, like,
How
if you have to be 6 feet apart from each other, you might as well do it in the park. Go
Yeah,
outside,
that's what I'm
have
saying.
a
Like
cookout.
instead of an enclosed, right?
Yeah, have a cookout, and then I've seen the whole lines, or just forego it and just do like a
Yeah,
big boom party or something like that. Like
yeah.
you could do
Hmm.
so many things, but to you just said you just listed 17 people that you already know. The one
Right.
woman, your neighbor who didn't even have any symptoms go. Like she may have had it 3 weeks prior and the symptoms just hit her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so is it really worth having a prom? Like, I'd be like, I don't care. At
And
this
I don't
point,
know if
like,
you
I don't care.
right. And I know I can't call names, so I won't. I'll send you the information
Mhm.
by the principal in Newark. He's a vegan. He is in the gym every day,
Still
and
at the
he
sim?
no, he contracted COVID. He was on Facebook
Uh,
in the hospital with the machine to his nose, and he's a vegan. So he was like, if you feel like by eating vegetables every day, you still have to distance yourself from you still have to practice social distancing. You could still contract it.
right,
Now, granted, his system is strong enough to help him fight it, but don't take the chance.
right,
That's what he was trying to say. Like, don't. Oh, I'll just go around anybody because I eat healthy. That's not the only thing. It's a virus. And it's an airborne, and that's another thing they're not being honest about. It's an airborne pathogen. It's easily contracted, and that's the reason why, like, outside of just coming outside my door here, I've been in the house. Underlying conditions can amplify the impact of the actual virus itself. So if
hmm
you already have, let's say, breathing issues, a COPD, chronic asthma, things like that, that can exasperate those symptoms. And that's why a couple of my friends passed away because they had underlying conditions that, made it almost impossible. Like a person with a larger BMI, body mass index, if they have problem like I'm bigger. So if you have an issue with breathing and that virus attacks the respiratory system, and you already have an issue with breathing, you're in bad shape.
yeah, yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? It exasperates the situation. That's why we're telling people that if you already have issues, especially with breathing, do yourself a favor and stay away from large crowds. Don't try to
mhm,
get in the middle. That's why, and that's another hurtful thing because I have friends that like pastors and things that have passed away, and I can't even go to their funerals because they're only allowing, the minister, the funeral director, and maybe one or two family members, and then they're streaming it on Facebook Live or Zoom and things like that, and that's even more hurtful. Like the family can't even get together and
right.
draw strength from each other. That means that's really bad.
Yeah, like you said, it will create a whole lot of counseling situations.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda says hello. She says that she's following you on Instagram as well. And while I
Cool.
just said that, do you want to talk about your Instagram name, in case anybody in the chat wants to follow you or has questions about maybe a topic that maybe
Mm-hmm.
you might be able to help them with, like, civil rights wise.
Okay. Yeah. If you go on Instagram, Teague for Patterson, you will find again that's Teague for Patterson. You'll find me there, and you'll see all of my different topics. I have an array of topics on my page that I like to talk about. You'll find it pretty entertaining.
Mhm.
Um, I have my things that I like. Enjoy knows. I mean, I don't hide it, but it's there. It's on my page. It's something that I think everybody has grown to kind of tolerate, even those who may think it's a little taboo.
uh
They've grown to kind of say, "Well, that's Corey. We already know that's Corey." So,
That's your
but yeah, if
staple.
you go, Mhm.
That's your staple right there.
Yeah, that's my staple. Everybody knows that. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, come to my Instagram and take a look. I'll add you. I add back. Um, and feel free to ask any questions. Skim through the page, look through different pictures. Anything you need questions on, feel free to comment and ask a question, and I'll respond. Especially now, there's nothing really to do at this point.
How is
Everything is
how
like
is
online.
how also everything is online. Are you guys still able to make um real moves, being real agendas and really sign bylaws while this is
Mhm.
going on?
Yeah, yeah. Zoom. I always knew Zoom to be a video meeting place, but the school district, I don't know how they set that thing up to where they can show you the agenda on there. Because I go on from a laptop on the Zoom. They
Mhm.
can pull up the item that we're voting on. They can circle what we're reading. They can ask for the vote and everything right over the computer. As we're all there. And I don't know how they're able to do that, but they do it. And you can see the screen, all nine of us, and the clerk. She'll ask everybody if they're, is yes or no, whatever your response is, and they'll email us the agenda before the meeting, so we have an opportunity to read it before we get started, and then and then they'll give us the opportunity to discuss it. If you want to ask a question, all you have to do is raise your hand on the screen, and then the president will click your name so that you can be unmuted, and it's just like a regular meeting, except we're all
Well, how about
we're
the
all
public meetings? How is the public going to be able to interact? Oh no, that's
same
the
way.
school board. That's the school board.
Yeah, same way. They at the school board we have public portion, and people are there. If you go in there, like the last, it's ironic because when we have the public meetings at Kennedy at our high school, we
Mhm.
may get 20, maybe 15, 20 parents, but on Zoom we
You can
had
get married.
100 parents. Yeah, we had 100 parents, and everybody had questions, so you could see everybody. The president kind of keeps everybody on mute, and what will happen is when you log in, you'll get a particular number when you log in.
Mhm.
The president will call those numbers. In other words, he'll say, "Okay, we're going to take comments from number 616. That's your number." So they'll unmute your phone or your line or your phone or your screen, and then you could proceed with your question. You
Mhm.
know, so it's literally like a virtual meeting. Full meeting, and it usually lasts about maybe 2 hours, 2.5. City council is about 3 hours, and they do it
Yeah,
remotely.
they're long.
Yeah, we used to laugh at the Jetsons and stuff. We're getting there. You
Mm.
know,
Do you think now, since you said the Jetsons, do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing for sure. I know it's getting when you see the way things are going and how they're quickly. This particular situation is forcing uh, society to take a different look at technology altogether. You know, I mean, for the first time in history, every church in the world was online for Easter Sunday. I mean, only online. You know, so that change. I mean, if you took a look, I went on YouTube and I streamed the Vatican, and for the first time in history, I've never seen St. Peter's Square empty on Easter. It was completely empty, nothing but birds flying around. Inside St. Peter's Basilica, empty. Only people there was the Pope, and the Pope and his assistants who were holding his microphone and in the Bible. So we have really been forced to take a second look at social media and just technology as a whole. And I got a feeling that this is not going to just kind of like go away and think. And in terms of a normal, I don't think we're going back to normal. It's going to be a new normal because even after they say, okay, everything is free and clear, you're still going to have people who are going to be afraid that it could come back, and they're going to have that reservation. They're not going. It's going to take a while for people to feel comfortable just running up and hugging people, other than their family or people that they really know. You know what I'm saying?
But
So let's say
what about small businesses? How do you think they will survive after?
that's what I'm saying. That's a good question. It's gonna be a battle with trying to get people to get comfortable to coming back into small businesses, restaurants, um, especially places like dry cleaners, barber shops. It's going to take a while for people to get comfortable again with being able to be in those kinds of places without feeling. Because if it's a virus, most viruses like the flu, that comes back every year. You got flu season. And people are definitely afraid that this thing could very well come back just like the flu or the cold. That
Or
there's a
how about
season
this?
where,
They might even when I was out and about today,
yeah,
the only thing that was very unsettling to me is that we'll have to walk around permanently with masks. And
exactly.
I was just like, it kind of made me feel like I don't even want to leave the house anymore. Not because I'm afraid, but just the simple fact that I can't have my whole entire, like I'm restricted now.
Yeah.
It's not even by choice, but you're telling me. And I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what made me feel a little like you know, this is for the birds.
Oh, oh yeah. It's going to be at least another 6 months to a year before the government says, okay, you don't have to wear masks anymore. And then even from that point, it's probably another 6 months before people feel comfortable not wearing masks. Because you had people walking around with masks on before this even jumped
Not in this
off.
country so much. Not in this country,
Not
you know.
not that much. Like when I was in New York in the subway, and you're right, it was probably one or two people on the train.
And
But
most of them were
now,
visitors.
say it again.
And most of them were visitors. They weren't even that was their
Right.
culture to wear masks. Not our That's
Exactly.
never been our culture to wear masks.
Exactly. So now when you see Americans that, and I'm not trying to disparage on any other, nationality, but when you see Americans now in church, they're gonna have on those masks. The preacher's gonna have on. It's just weird. I saw church services on Sunday where the pastors was flipping through the Bible with blue gloves and a mask on, and it was the weirdest thing, and to think that now the operating room isn't going to be the only place anymore where masks and gloves are needed.
And they're not even sterile. Like I literally saw someone discard their gloves onto the ground. And I'm like,
See, see,
really?
God forbid somebody, and I'm not putting anybody out there, but God forbid a homeless person, they pick them gloves up, put them on.
Forget picking
You
them
know,
up. What if you walk on it? You step
yeah,
on it, and then you
and
step
bring it
into
home.
your car, you
Yeah,
step into your home, you
yeah,
step anywhere. And then, like, and
that's a whole nother dynamic, right?
some people, I'm a firm believer, you guys may not, but I feel like once you hit the front door, take
Yeah,
your shoes off.
I do
Because
that.
like and I learned that a long time ago when I had walked into my friend's house who had an infant. They were like, take your shoes off. I was like, why? And she
Yeah,
was like, because my kid is crawling around on their hands, and guess where their hands go? Right into their mouth. So why do I want you
right
to
where your
tag
feet
them,
are.
whatever, and
Right,
then put that in their mouth? And I was like, oh, ever since then I always leave the shoes at the front door. So you're gonna have a virus underneath your shoe. And it's
right.
safe. It lasts.
That's why when you go in the hospital, certain situations like birth and things, they give you nets to put on your feet, on your shoes.
Right, the booties. Yep.
Yeah, there's because of that same situation. And that's a very big point you just brought up. People that walk around all day long, come home, and some people had nerve put their feet on their couch, peed on their shoes on the bed. You just brought that stuff right into your living space.
And even if it wasn't even about the virus, you
Yeah.
walk on poop, dry spit, dry something that
Mm-hmm.
somebody threw up. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
if it rained that moment. Even still, if it rained, it's picking up all that stuff out the ground, and you walking right on
Yeah.
it, tracking it. And like you said, you're putting your feet on you putting your feet on your table. Like, come on, man, you shouldn't even put your
Right.
feet on the table. Your feet need to be somewhere else. Put your feet on a foot. Put your foot on a footrest. Get your
Word.
footrest. Why are you putting it on? Why are you putting your nasty feet on something where you're gonna eat off of? A
Right.
surface that you may eat off of. That's disgusting. Or
Just
a
after
surface you may
walking
put
in
your
those
head on.
shoes all day. Right.
Hmm.
That's why I've always been fond of like the Muslims. The way they do it, you take your shoes in the hallway. You don't even go in the house. They have a shoe rack in the hallway between the outside door and the inside door, and you hang your shoes before you even step in the house. Like
Yeah,
it's
your
something that
home
we
is
really
your home is your sacred place. It's
right.
as sacred as your own body.
That's right. Yeah. So now, and Joy, I think this situation is gonna force people to rethink how they really just carry on their daily lives. Things that we normally would take for granted. Grabbing a doorknob and not really know, should I have just grabbed it or should I take my sleeve and kind of, you know what I mean? We're gonna take things differently now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, getting money out of the ATM, having to push those. Today, I was getting my. I was trying to use my knuckle because I didn't want to use my fingertips
Yeah.
to try to punch the numbers because you get freaked out now. You're beginning to think that any and everywhere you go, you could easily touch something and boom. You know, so it's definitely playing games with people's minds for sure. It's definitely doing that because it's not as obvious. I mean, I know you all remember like the AIDS epidemic back in the day in the '80s, I think it was. But with that, you couldn't hug somebody and get AIDS. You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
This,
they
you can hug
probably thought you
somebody
did
and
in the
get this big
beginning.
pandemic.
They probably
That's
thought
the
you did
scary
in the
part.
beginning.
Yeah,
You know.
it's changed, and it's already changing the way children are reacting. My daughter, she's petrified of
Oh.
anybody that come near her now because she feels like they may have it on her. You know, and I don't know what to tell her. She keeps the sanitizer in her hand, but she still, and that's what I'm saying. Even after they say, suppose they put a all clear, even after they say all clear, people there's still going to be people that are going to be upset and leery. You know what I mean? Oh, so yes, indeed.
Did you eat your food?
Some of it. I had made something for Kanai. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So, got the sister here.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, I don't know if they have another question because I'm definitely open for more questions.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Corey is here to answer your questions. He's for
Yeah,
the
because
people.
because I
He's
haven't been
for
in a while. I think the last time I came on your show was what 2018 or 2018,
No, wasn't that long.
2019.
Was it really that long ago?
When did you start? Did you start this last year or
February. Last
of
February.
last year?
Yeah.
Oh, so what? Okay, so
When
it
was
was
it
last year.
that when was it the first time that everything didn't work out with the school board?
The first time was in 2018, November of 2018.
So I met you then. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's been
because
2 years?
it was right around that
Oh,
time.
18, 19. Oh, so it's been 2 years almost?
Yeah, because
Oh
the
my goodness.
last time the last time it didn't come together was November 2018. Because November 2019 I won. So 2018 was the first time that we actually,
Yeah. That's when we met and I was like, don't
and
worry about it, it's gonna be all right.
I think that's why I bought the socks right after that, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
You got the Halloween, the Halloween socks
Right.
with the
That's what
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
that's what it was because I was campaigning for it then when we
Yeah.
first met. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I remember now. I was campaigning. You were at the event at the Masonic
Yeah.
where they would have the bazaar thing.
It was all
Yeah.
business. Yes. Miss
Mm-hmm.
PR says, why doesn't the town give the proper instructions on how to wear and disposal of gloves and masks? Is that
In terms of Patterson.
yeah.
Yeah, they haven't even done a demonstration. And I've been asking for the longest. Okay, I'll go on record. I've been asking for the longest for them to do a live video. Like, this is my thing. Why should I do all the things when they're getting paid to be able to provide this information to the community? You know what I'm saying? They need to have a demonstration, have somebody hold the camera. They got enough camera people at City Hall, or the director of health for Patterson, who, by the way, is also on the school board. Let them do a demonstration showing people how to properly peel off the gloves, take off the mask. To be honest, all the residents should have been given at least a box or two of gloves per household. You understand? If they really want to be serious about helping too, because that's another thing that's running out: gloves, masks, bleach, alcohol, and because of that, the stores are scalping and what's the other term? They're hiking the prices on these products because you have the issue with demand and supply and demand. But the city really should do a demonstration on either Facebook Live, Channel 77, demonstrating. And another thing, when you touch whatever you touch, you're touching the money, you're touching the stuff in the store. Then you come home, you're touching your door now with the gloves. Now you're touching your food, you're touching everything with the same pair of gloves.
Take it
They
off.
have to come off before you hit the door. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And you can't. And for God's sakes, folks, do not carefully take them off and use them again. they got to go in the garbage. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, we got to be real serious about this. Once you take them off, they got to be discarded. You get a new pair. And make sure they're off before you step foot in your door, because you're bringing all that stuff right inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are, you know, but I'm saying, like, I don't think that even after they say all clear on the national level, like they take away the code red, I don't think that's going to change people's anxieties about people. You're going to have more germaphobes now than you've ever seen. You
Yeah.
know?
Everybody that used to make fun of me gonna be like, dag, Joy. I mean, like, I'm not a germaphobe, but I just be thinking like, ew, like
Yeah.
that's nasty. Like, I don't want somebody else's vile whatever on me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know what I mean? I don't know what somebody has and somebody carries. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like, thankfully, it has not changed the way I viewed society, because I'm
Yeah.
not out there immersed into like the whole what's going on. I need the play by play,
Mm-hmm.
minute by minute. I'm not in it like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a state law that you couldn't be served unless you had a mask on until yesterday.
Yeah, it was recent. They just put that in effect Saturday, as of Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Well, the
Yeah, I
governor
mean,
anyway.
Adam mentioned it, but I didn't think it was to the degree where you could not purchase items. Like before, I thought it was just like if you're outside, you have to wear it. That's one thing. But
True.
to actually have somebody say, I cannot have you cannot buy something because you don't have a mask on. That
Yeah.
was like, what?
They were turning people away from the supermarket the other day that I go to because of a mask. The guy was, arguing in Spanish, and couldn't understand. I know he was fussing at them, but they wouldn't let him in. They stood in front of the door and would not let him in, because he was trying to take his hat and see, can he wrap it around. It wasn't big enough to wrap around, and they said, no, you got to go and get a mask and come back.
Octavia said, bravo to you on stepping up for the people on how hand washing, face mask, and just cleaning with everything. So she's
Mm-hmm.
basically saying, go ahead. They get
Yeah.
you, but you better go ahead for the people and tell them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they actually elected me too. So I still have an obligation to get the word out, just like the rest of them. I mean, if they don't, that's on them. But I still have that obligation to do it. Because I was duly elected just like they were, albeit for a different position, but still, I mean, one good thing I like is that we were able to get the computers for the children, the laptops. It was a little late, but we were able to get it for them. So any homework any assignments that require computers or laptops or tablets, they can have them now. We're starting out. We're putting out 7,000 right now, 7,000 laptops, and then I think we're going to put out more for the elementary schools, probably 8th grade and 7th grade.
What about speaking of the kids, have you been able to reach out to any of the kids? Like, I know you used to be able to probably see people all the time. Like, have you been able to reach out and Zoom with the parents who are used to, and like, are the kids saying anything? Like,
well, I mean,
I
the
mean, you
children
have
were
your own.
most of the children I talked, well, parents and students I spoke to were happy about the schools being closed until they heard about the prom possibly being canceled and the graduation prom. That's when it got real. They realized
Oh my
might be closed. Yeah, like that's going too far. I don't mind the year being out. Graduation and prom, that's going too far now. But try to warn them. It wasn't real until they heard that part. So we're trying to work our way through that. I mean, my daughter's graduating 8th grade this year too. So I'm feeling the pinch from it. I want to see my daughter, I know 8th grade, they don't like walk the grass. They have like a little moving up ceremony, but still, you want to see them in the gown and a hat and receiving their diploma, 8th grade diploma. And I mean, as much as I would like to see that, at the same time, we got to consider their safety, because this particular, our president said something today that's it just baffles me. He said if less than 100,000 people die, he did a good job. That is just, he said it on national TV today. So he feels like anybody.
So maybe he's just telling us how many people have to die before this is over.
That's what I'm saying. That's terrifying. Like, what are you saying right now? Do you guys have a definite number of how many people they're trying to wipe out? You know what I mean?
It's funny you should say that, because way before everybody was, quarantined or even just thought about being quarantined, somebody said, oh yeah, I was in someone else's chat and they were saying, oh yeah, once 100,000 people die, then everything will be fine. Then the vaccine will come out and then all the drug companies will make another $1 trillion. And that'll be the end of it. I was like, oh, wow.
Got the strangest feeling. It seems that way.
Oh, here's a question, and I'll answer the question as well. What's your thoughts on reusing your mask? I caught what was said about not reusing the gloves.
Same thing. I mean, with masks, it's a touch and go there. If you're sick, you definitely have to keep changing them often. I mean, sometimes I'll use mine more than once because it's just mine. What I would say you can't do is share it. Don't share your mask with anybody. Let it be yours. Like I have a mask that's a pretty sturdy one, so I use it whenever I leave the house. I put it on. My only problem now is though, and I got somebody working on one. They're making a mask big enough to cover my beard. I'm not trimming my beard. I'm letting the barber do that when the barbershop opens. But I'm trying to get one big enough to cover because they're saying it could actually get in your beard and it could be an issue too.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So with masks, I've worn mine more than once. I just don't share it. You don't pass it along. You keep it for you. That's yours. You be the only one that use it, and don't let nobody take theirs. Hey, use mine for a minute.
Nah, I got my mask from a doctor, and they gave us instructions on how to re-sanitize it, and it's simple. To bake it at 160 degrees in an oven.
Okay.
To put it in the oven for 160 degrees. Probably, I wouldn't say no more than like 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how hot.
Burn out. Okay.
Yeah, because remember any sickness or illness airborne stuff can be killed by the heat.
True.
And I was also thinking, I can be a little conspiracious, but it's a perfect time for this to come, right?
Yeah.
You can slow the spread of it because summer is right here. Spring is right here. No one knows whether they have allergies or the virus. So therefore, everybody's going to want to run to get the vaccine. Everybody's going to want to be tested to see if they have it. So like, I don't know. Everything always has perfect timing when it come out to like, you're going to get your $1 trillion back real quick. You're going to get it back either next year when somebody file, or you're going to get it back on that vaccine.
Well, they're getting back. They're not giving anything away. That's something for now, but Uncle Sam's coming back for it.
We're coming to get that money back. That's what coming back. Reinvest. If you can reinvest that money so you can get your real 20%.
Right. Buy some stocks. All the stocks are low right now, so grab some stocks and tuck them away.
Lions said they originally thought 100K to 250 were going to die based on a percentage of people that die in other places.
Yeah. New York so far has had 10,000 people die from it.
Huh? Say that again?
New York has already had 10,000 people die from it.
But I mean, you have to remember, New York has millions of people that actually live there. So that's kind of low when you really think about it. Now, I'm not saying nobody should die, but like think about the amount of people that get shot up every day. You know what I'm saying? And die every day that we never really paid attention to before.
Yeah, I did those numbers, and Chicago has nothing on COVID. COVID is the real gangster in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. Them thugs, they're trying to figure out how to maybe use that for themselves instead of guns to get rid of their enemies. That's terrible. Because it's
they're the real scientists. And they're the real scientists.
Those scientists too. I mean, look, the one thing that made me leery was from the rip when the scientist in China was trying to come out and let folks know what was going down, and he died just like that, just mysteriously. The very first person from China, the scientist, the doctor. I don't know if everybody remembers that.
Listen, I personally, without going too deep, nature, put it this way, and I've said this before in my live a couple days ago, nature takes care of us, period. Nature takes care of us, period.
Word.
That's it. This is what Miss TR said. She said, I put a paper towel on my face then put a mask over it. You can replace the paper towel, then spray the Lysol in the dryer.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's
And
a good idea. Now, I mean, with the
she's actually
situation, right?
recovered from the virus too.
Say it again.
She's recovered from the virus.
She's recovered. That's another thing. You don't hear a lot of those stories, but that's what, because I know the mayor right now, Patterson, and his wife, were tested positive for it. So,
Oh,
I mean, we'll see how, I mean, so look, he's been going live just about every day.
they have four
So,
kids too. Or
yeah.
three. Yeah, wow.
That picture of him, they had their masks on, they holding their kids tight, and they have their masks on. Everybody's wondering, why aren't you quarantining yourself from your kids for right now? Till you kind of, you know, I don't know if it was just one of those moments that they want. I don't know what it was. I mean, it's one of those things that the local level wasn't really, I believe the federal level knew, but the local level was kind of left in the dark. The cities, you know what I mean? The cities and the towns. Federal level knew what was going on. If you looked at Governor Cuomo today, the way he put that information out there, he was like, the president knew what was going on. He's trying to play stupid, but he knew. He knew what was up. It's just a matter of us locally, staying on top of it.
So, what
you
other
know,
success stories have you had um, as far as
uh,
being a man for the people, an activist?
oh, and you mean personally?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, the most recent, again, I know y'all have already heard about the case with Jameek, and the reason why I keep bringing that is because a
They
lot of
may
these
not know the
cases.
story. They may not know
Hmm?
the story. They may not know the story.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Because the reason why I mention that again is because a lot of these cases take a very long time. The journey to justice is probably the longest journey ever. January 7th of 2019, young man named Jameek Larry went into the police station to get help. He was seeking help. He was seeking assistance from the police because he felt like somebody was out to get him. Okay. Instead of getting the help that he really needed, he ended up sometime later that evening deceased. He had bruises. He had ligature marks on his throat, busted eye socket, busted jaw. Somehow the report was put out that he got all of that from spinal meningitis. Then they said that he got all of that from being overdosed on bath salt. Um, we kept fighting it. We kept pushing back against it, and eventually, a very well-known pathologist out of New York did an independent autopsy and determined that he, in fact, died from, the actions of the police. Okay, that was probably the biggest victory in terms of getting justice. I mean, the family. There's some things going on within the family where they're trying to work out some kinks, and I can't get involved with what the family's trying to do legally amongst themselves. But on my end, I wanted to make sure that Jameek's story got out, that he was not high on anything, he didn't have spinal meningitis, that he was in fact a victim of police brutality, and that's what we wanted to make sure was known. Now the family is working out however they're doing it in the background with amongst themselves. I have no dealings with that because I'm just not a part. I'm not a lawyer. But in terms of making sure that the public knew the real story, they know now. It's been so that's one of the biggest victories. Right now, I'm working on some other cases, but those haven't really materialized just yet because it takes time. It's not easy, especially when you're going up against a machine and a system that has been oppressing people for decades. They're not just going to let you get a win like that. They're going to put you through a lot of hoops to get to that victory. So
Have
right
you
now,
ever been afraid of the backlash from the machine for doing the
yeah,
work that you're doing?
yeah. I mean, all the time. You know, courage is not the absence of fear, but courage is not allowing fear to stop you from doing what you know is right. You're going to be afraid. Malcolm X, he was scared. He knew his life was in danger. Every day he stepped out his door that he was fighting for the rights of the people. Martin Luther King, that man was terrified when he said when he gave that mountaintop speech. People think he wasn't scared. He was terrified. He knew that sooner or later somebody was going to get him, but he realized that he needed to fight for the people, and that's what gave him the courage to keep going. So yeah, I was not. I know people portray me to be some fearless activist, but that's not quite right. Every time I went up to that microphone and I was standing there by myself, not to say that others didn't want to be there, but I know there was different situations. People had to work and things like that. and I would have to stand there and talk about the situation and other cases in the city. Yeah, I was afraid because a lot of times I would have to go home, walk home. I didn't have no the luxury of having an armored car to bring you home. So yeah, there was fear there. There was times when the police would ride real slow past me. There was times I would go live, and there was even a time, I think, Joy, you probably remember, where I even wore body cam because it was so heated between January 2019 to around about June, July of 2019. It was very heated, and I had to take exhaustive measures. When I would come home from a council meeting, I would have to make sure I'm live on my phone so people could see me walking home. So yeah, I was very fearful.
Here's a
Um,
question for you. One SP says, how is he a victim if you are fighting for his justice? Does not that make him victorious and make you his survivor?
who is he talking about, Jameek?
Yeah,
Well, Jameek was the victim of police brutality. I mean, now at this point, his story has been told. The truth came out. So I believe, I believe he is a victor at this point. But I don't want to see. The thing is, the family is doing their own thing right now, and I'm hoping that they get justice on their end. I really can't speak to that because that's the lawyers and things that are
right.
handling that. But in terms of this, yeah, I think Jamaica is a victor at this point. I just wish he could have been here to actually tell his story. But you know what? He had the insight and the foresight that night to go live on his phone. You know, and I always think to this day how hard it would have been for us to even fight if we didn't have some kind of footage, because it would have been our story against theirs. Because as soon as they took him in that ambulance, they removed the cameras from Broadway, that area. They took the cameras from the Dunkin' Donuts across the street. They took the cameras away from the garage. They removed all the tapes. They took his phone. He wasn't under arrest, so why'd they take his phone? You see what I'm saying? They took his clothes. They took all of his possessions. He was not under arrest. So their goal was to try to erase any evidence that would implicate them in what happened to him. And luckily, he went live. So when his battery died, the live video automatically saved to his Facebook page. And before they were able to try to figure out his account, we already got the video and we were putting it out everywhere. So he is a victor. He really is.
Adam says, I'm terrible at remembering names. What was the guy's name who was selling cigarettes and was killed by being strangled by the police instead of
Eric
just,
Gardner.
yeah, it was Garner.
Yeah, it's Eric Gardner.
That was crazy. Okay, he was just making a comment.
Yep.
The police are not doing their job right.
Yeah, it was Eric Gardner. Now, the police officer that was involved in that eventually lost his job.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
he
he
like,
eventually lost his job.
is he afraid to go anywhere? Like,
That officer?
yeah.
I don't know, because quite honestly, the way they feel is like they got victory with that, and then the lawsuit that's coming. But I don't know. That's a good question. I
I
mean,
mean, he didn't go to jail, so like he's
he
still
didn't go to jail. That's the crazy part. He did not go to jail. He lost his job. They raised over, I don't want to say $1 million, but close to it on a GoFundMe account. Like the Blue Lives Matter GoFundMe account.
for him.
And the family of this young man. So I'm hoping that they could be able to sue to get that money from that account, from that GoFundMe account. The family of Eric Gardner. Because remember now, the sister died of a heart attack. Well, his daughter, Eric Gardner's daughter, the oldest one, died of a heart attack because of all of the stress of having to. And that's where I came in at with Jameek's family. They were already going through a lot of stress with that. But, and dealing with that, going to council meetings and trying to speak up was a little too stressful for them because of what they were already dealing with. So I came in, that's where I came in to try to bear the brunt of that stress. But in New York, they didn't have a solid support system. They had maybe one or two activists, but it wasn't where they had people that actually fight for them. So they had to do a lot of fighting on their own, a whole lot of fighting until there were press conferences. And you had a lot of people around for the press conferences, but when they were doing the daily fighting, a lot of it was on their own. And like I said, Eric Garner's oldest daughter died of a heart attack, like before she could really see this officer, lose his job, which he should have also been arraigned and charged and sent to prison. But you know how the system is. It didn't want to completely give their family the, you know what I'm saying, give their family um, that much of a victory. You
There's a
know,
question, and I guess it's like it's a question, not really a question, but it's like, where's the mentality at with the authority? So basically, I guess to sum it up, why do you think some of these people of authority and power feel like once they have that, they can do whatever they want?
because there's no, um, it all goes to legislation. They know that there are laws on the books right now. The laws on the books that protect police in any situation where they're armed or shooting, you know what I'm saying, where anything like that, there are so many loopholes to where they could kill someone if they so much as think that their lives are in danger, even if they can prove the slightest bit that they were afraid for their lives, the jury will throw out the indictment. The legislature needs to change some of these laws. And even I was suggesting something at one of the council meetings last year, that what they need to do is change an order or put an ordinance in place that police officers have to carry their own rider, their own insurance rider. So where if they are charged with police brutality or sued for police brutality, the city is not on the hook for the money, but the officer that was
Okay,
responsible.
but then
You
nobody
understand?
wins.
That's
Nobody's
right.
gonna win no money.
And
Yep.
when they know, when those officers know that they themselves will have to cover their own legal fees, and they will have to ultimately pay the lawsuit out of their own pocket, you will see less officers doing stupid stuff. These officers know that they have leeway under the law to kill somebody if they even suspect or feel like their lives are in danger. And on top of that, they know that the city is going to hire attorneys to protect them, so they don't have to worry about legal costs. If they lose and get sued, they know that the city will make a deal with the attorney and the family of the victim, so they know they don't have to pay a lawsuit either. So they feel like, either way it goes, they kill somebody and they get away with a misdemeanor, or nothing happens to them legally, or if something happens to them legally, they don't have to pay it out of their pocket. The city covers it, and if there's a lawsuit, the city covers the lawsuit. But we need to change that to where if an officer is indicted or found guilty or whatever of police brutality, that they have to pay that bill, not the city. So if that means they lose their pension, oh well, you know.
Hmm. Um, wow, just a lot
Yeah.
going on. A lot going on. I just want to say hello to a few people. And again, guys, this is Corey. He is a local activist uh, in his town, and he's also done things pretty much across the states. Because I remember when you get your bearings together, you got to
Hmm.
tell me, what were you doing in Washington? What was that all
Yeah.
about? What was that all
Yeah.
about?
I used to go to Washington a lot until it just began to, my body started just, sometimes your body will let you know when it's time to slow down. I would go to Newark whenever they would have a big hearing, or they were getting ready to vote, especially on something that involves special education on a federal level. I would go to Newark, hop on the Acela train, and I'd be in DC in 3 hours. And I would, sign up. Sometimes they let you speak, but most of the times when something was on the floor, the Senate or the House, they won't let people from the audience speak. But I would just be there in the room to listen to what's being said. And I would bring that information back to Patterson and back to New Jersey and network with the people from Newark and different places. Because the three biggest districts are Newark, Jersey City, and Patterson. So I would go down to DC, get information, bring it back. Because a lot of what they tell you in the news, you can't go by. You have to go down there and get the paperwork and go over it yourself. Like going back to this stimulus package, we don't know what the ins and outs were. All we know is, oh, they're sending us money, but you don't know what they voted on. You don't know the pointers that's in there. There's without a doubt there's stipulations in the stimulus, without a doubt. But they're not going to tell you that because they don't want you to focus on that. They just want you to focus on you get ready to get some money.
Get
But
money,
there's a whole
spend
lot
it.
of,
Yeah, spend it.
yeah. They're not just giving away 2 trillion. Not when just 2 months ago the president made so many cuts to every program he could. I mean, cuts to the arts, sciences. He was cutting everything. That budget he presented was supposed to save $1 trillion. Now they're giving away 2.2 trillion. Come on now. There's more to it than that. You know, I know it's easy to think that we can have our cake and eat it too, but that's not the case ever. So there's something going on here. They say, "Oh, don't be spectacle, just enjoy." I would enjoy it if I knew there was no strings attached. You understand what I mean? And that's my greatest fear. I feel like there's some strings attached.
Well,
You wouldn't take money from. Say again.
At this point, even if there's a string that's attached, they gotta revitalize.
Yeah, that's the other part.
They have to.
And you know, I think that this was all. You know, you got to give it to the man. He's smart. He knows how to play chess. This was the biggest stimulus package in American history. You know, and his opponent is not going to be able to say that. When in 2008, when the banks crashed and people were losing their homes, you know what Obama did? He did a stimulus package, but you know who he bailed out? The banks. He didn't bail out the homeowners. The homeowners ended up losing their homes. Trump is helping to bail out the people itself. He ain't worried about the banks right now. He's giving it straight to the people. The little bit of money we got in 2008 doesn't compare to what they're doing now. It's never been done before. So that was a very smart. That was playing chess.
Not for nothing. It's $600 a week.
Yep.
$600 a week. You make more than that. You make majority people make more in the $600 a week than they have ever made in a year.
That's what I'm talking about. So he knows what he's doing. Trust me. You know, it was a very shrewd move. But when you're dealing with a businessman that has trillions of dollars, they know how to play around with money.
Right.
And that's the difference. Most of consumers work for their money. You know, business owners, tycoons, they make their money work for them. They invest their money and watch it have a return.
Yep.
In his case, he's hoping that return is another 4 years, you know, to do whatever it is he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So we have to start getting hip to that and start making our money work for us as well. You know, it's time to start flipping the script, you know, in terms of, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but really, we got to start thinking in the same lines.
Right. And that's why I was just saying, if y'all can, if you get this money, don't spend it all, like reinvest it into yourself, reinvest it into your family so you can get that 20%, which you can actually keep.
That's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like what they taught us when we were little. I don't know if they teach now, but you pay yourself 10% out of your weekly or bi-weekly paycheck, and a lot, whatever for bills, and then another for whatever, and then have a little safety net somewhere, and then give yourself some play money.
Yeah, take 500 of it, go set you up a 501c3 or 501c4. All you need is $500. You take it there, you set it up, and you can start getting money from anywhere you live in the country that's watching. You set that up and get you an organization, anything going, and you're good. But don't just take it and spend it. Reinvest it some kind of way so that you can flip it, so it can do more for you. You know, let that 1,200 turn into 10,000 by you doing, legal things to expand it. You know, in Detroit right now, you can buy a house for $1 in Detroit right now.
Everybody, you hear that? Go to Detroit and buy some houses. Hold on to some houses. I know
some investors.
A developer come around and want to buy it off of you for like $1,000.
That's right. I know investors right now who bought hundreds of properties in Detroit because each one is $1. And it's residual income every month. You making money while you sleep. Real estate and land is what it's about right now. I mean, everything is about land.
I'm about to go down and see what Detroit got going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Take this money and please, because people are saying in a heartbeat, oh, it's my business. Yeah, it's your, but make it a business. Don't just say it's your, make it a business. Invest that money so when you say it's my business, it really is your business.
Yeah.
It's actual business, a corporation. So you can actually do something with it. Here is a businessman who's, the president, but he's a businessman who's saying, I'm going to give every American the opportunity now to invest some money and try to start their own thing so they can start making their own money. most people are not going to look at it that way. They're going to take it and spend it on shoes and stuff that doesn't appreciate with value. But those of us that have our thinking caps on, we're going to take that money and start investing it. And I mean, you have stocks, you have bonds, you have
Gold
things that
is
you can actually put money away.
gold
You
is
don't
something
have
to
to.
buy.
You don't. Go ahead.
I heard gold is something to buy right now,
Yeah,
especially with the
gold bars.
dollar,
Yeah,
especially with the dollar being almost
being devalued. Absolutely. Yeah, you go and you know that's what I'm saying. We have to start thinking generationally. Other races, other ethnicities, especially Caucasian, they think generationally. They build their wealth for their children and grandchildren. They don't just say, "I just want to make sure I'm looking fly. I don't care if my children or grandchildren make it, as long as I'm looking good." We got to get out of that mindset and start saying, "I want to build something like you had the Rothschilds, right? I know we dogged them. They say they were bad. Look, here's a man who said, "Hey, I want to build something for my children and my grandchildren." And to this day, almost 100 years, over 100 years later, they're still living off of the wealth of their great 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 grandfather, because they built a generational pattern of wealth. If we start looking at it that way, and when we leave this earth, we ain't gonna have to worry, because we know our kids and our grandkids are going to be taken care of, because we established a pattern of wealth for them to carry on for the rest of their lives. That's what we got to think about right now. This is the perfect time to do it.
how do you feel about if more jobs were just allocated back into the United States?
It's a good thing, but we have to look at the fact that the economy is going to take a long time to bounce back from this, just because of the type of situation we incurred. It's not a normal. It's not your normal everyday typical situation. You know, it's not anthrax or what's some of the other things that we face? Ebola, which was in South Africa, or those simple things, not simple things, but
Right.
things that didn't really shake up society. Man, come on. 9/11 didn't even shake up New York the way this is shaking up New York. They were open for business within days. New York was back to being New York, because they wanted to send the message that they're not going to let terrorists scare them away. They're going to they're New Yorkers, and you remember how it was.
Mhm.
They want to make sure that everybody understood. We're New Yorkers. We're going to come back. We're going to be strong. But this, you go to New York right now, them streets are empty. You may have. I'm not saying there's nobody walking. There are. You'll see a couple of people walking around, but it's nothing like what New York is.
Mhm.
Streets jam packed. You can't hardly move because people are right in front of you. It's not like that now at all. And I don't think it's going to be like that for a while. Even when they say all clear, I think people are still going to be leery. So yeah, jobs will probably come back, but I don't think the economy is going to actually bounce back to where. And and that's the thing. The economy was kind of struggling before this even happened.
Right,
Now you
right.
figure a whole month, everything's pretty much just been shut down and operating at a very low level. It's going to take a while for things to get back to where they were. So that's why I'm encouraging people: don't wait around, for your job. When your job comes, go back to work. But at the same time, start building something for yourself, because as long as you're at that job, you're working to make somebody else wealthy. You're not making yourself wealthy. You're making somebody else wealthy. You stay there for 60 years and you get a gold watch and you get a little pension, and you retire and you spend maybe 2 or 3 years vacationing, and then you're gone. And you've made somebody else and their whole family filthy rich. You want to build something for yourself, so that when you get to that age where you're ready to retire, you not only have the money from your job, but you have an empire from what you built from the ground up. And we have to have the understanding that when we build from the ground up, we may not be here when everything is completely done, but at least have the sense of knowing that we started it, and we know our kids and our grandkids will hopefully carry it on. So that means you can't be selfish and say, I want to be here and see it come to fruition. May not be here to see it come to fruition, but at least you can say you got it started, you got your kids' future going, and if anything should happen to you, you know that your kids and grandkids are straight. You know your
Leticia,
family.
Leticia
Hmm.
said humans can't do without God.
True. Yeah, that's a fact. You can't. There has to be some level of spirituality in your life, and that's a fact. I have seen, and this is no lie. I have seen people in recent days, especially on Facebook, a gentleman that I know. is an atheist who have charged, not charged, but have challenged me all at all costs with science and all these different things to try to defute, God and the existence of the Most High. This brother was like, "God help us." I screenshotted that. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You're an atheist. You said you don't believe in God. What do you mean? You saying God help us with the emoji with the prayer hands? Yeah. I said, wait a minute. You told me it wasn't. You argued me down and said that I was asleep and all of this. Because now you see what I'm saying? So yeah, you look. I'm here to tell you, I done been through every religion you could think of, and you're not going to survive without the Most High in your life, but having a connection with the Most High.
Mhm.
That's out. You got to have that. That's the only way you're going to survive, especially something like this. You see people jumping out of buildings because they don't have anything to hold on to. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's definitely something. Matter of fact, whatever you do, you have to always have them included in that, and that's a fact. I mean, that's an actual fact, as my brother would say. You know,
Yeah.
um, I'm here. I mean, I just want you guys to be encouraged. That's for sure. I mean, we have some. I think we have some tough roads ahead. I'm not saying that it's always going to be this way, but my thing is, after all of this, there's still going to be so much that's going to have to be done to rebuild. You know, that's the part that's got me, is that there's going to be so much work to be done to rebuild the economy and society, because now there's a level of distrust. Like, for instance, now you have people, if let's say they don't want to get arrested, they're telling the cops, I have the virus and I'm going to spit on you if you arrest me. You know what I mean? Like, they're using that as a means to, you have
Get
people
out of
that are trying to rob people in the street, threatening to, even in the news, people were trying to rob somebody, that they were going to spit on them, and they had the virus. If they didn't give them their money, they were, stuff like that. So you already have idiots around here running around trying to use it as a we call it as a
warfare.
biochemical threat.
Mhm.
So it's already beginning, and it's going to take a while before that level of hysteria, comes down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we could expect to see people with masks and gloves at least for the next 6 months to a year. You could expect to see people. Black Friday, I don't think it's going to be the same this year.
Oh, no,
Because people,
no. I beg to differ.
no,
When
you
it
think everybody's going to be
I feel
together?
like
And,
when
and,
it
and
comes to spending, I feel like when it comes to spending, people will have a
yeah.
reason and a doubt. Be like, well, I'll credit it. I, that's just me personally.
So you think they're going to have to really control the flow from the outside of the stores, and,
I
and,
just
and what
think
have
no.
you?
I just think that everybody's just gonna do online. They're just gonna be
Yeah,
shopping
I'm
online.
talking about in terms of being physically at a building.
No, you know
Um,
how many people did not shop in stores this
see,
past Black Friday or even
see,
Christmas or Christmas?
yeah,
No, because I did most of. Well, I know one of my coworkers did all of her Christmas shopping for her kids on a computer
see, and that was before any of this.
before any of this.
So
I
you
mean,
could
people
believe
are gonna
that they're going
spend.
to be, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. In terms of showing up at the old-fashioned way, running into a building, people are terrified right now.
Yeah, they will
Yeah.
if it's for hand sanitizer or toilet
Well,
paper.
that's different.
They
If
gonna
they go
run,
that low, then it's going to be chaos.
but they don't need it. They don't need it.
Right.
Like people don't need it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I believe spending will always be something. Do you feel,
Yeah.
this is just us speaking now because I don't want to put you out there too much. But like, do you think that the greed is going to be changed?
No, we're a society of consumers, so that's going to always be there. Like you say, even online, because there's what do you call it? It's the convenience of just clicking the mouse and buying. That UPS been riding through here. That brown truck, I've been seeing that truck everywhere. So that just tells you their business is booming right now. FedEx, UPS. So
On
yeah, they're all over. The regular mail trucks, we just got our mail today from like 3 weeks.
what?
Because the mail people at the particular mail place here found out that there were some folks that had the virus in some of the areas where they were delivering mail, and I'm guessing the union or the shop steward, gave the okay for them to leave, and they
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 ain't
walked
never,
off.
they
So
never coming
there
back.
was like 4 people to do 80 routes, you know. because they felt unsafe because they weren't being notified
I mean,
that some.
I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I don't blame.
hey, so that's so we literally just got mail today from weeks ago. You
Wow.
know, yeah, just got it, and I mean, that just show you the uncertainty of what's going on out here today. Um, you know,
So, do
but
you think that with the position that you play in your local government,
yeah,
do you have any inkling or feeling like that maybe things may change for you guys on your level for the better?
yeah, but I personally don't see school coming back into play until September. Yeah, I mean, they're talking about May. They pushed everything back to May 1st to see if maybe that would, do the trick. And it all depends. If by May 1st the governor really feels like things are safe enough, because it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but we have overcrowded schools in our city, and a lot of it has to do with the census and other areas of funding. So we really have to consider, if things aren't at least 100% in terms of saying that it's a safety measure where you're able to safely say kids can return back to school. I don't really see that happening until September, only because the last report that the governor gave, he was saying that it looks like somewhere in August that it would peak and kind of begin to do like a crescendo down. Um, so with that, I really doubt that we'll be going back. It would have to be a very dramatic chain of events for us to return back to school next month. You know what I mean? Like it would really have to be something major.
That's not going to happen.
Exactly. It would really have to be major. So I really don't. That's what I was telling parents. I really wouldn't, even though I can't give them a definite date, I tell them don't get your hopes up about, coming back before September, because unless things really take a turn for the better, I don't see it happening. That's just my. I'm not. I'd say this. I'm not speaking as a member of the. As for the board. I'm speaking for myself personally. My own opinion.
Hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And for the board, what are you guys planning to do? Like
Oh, for graduation and things like that.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had that discussion yet. It's kind of. I mean, it's one of those things where you're gonna have to have it. Like our next meeting is on the 20. No, next Wednesday. Our next meeting on Zoom is Wednesday coming up, and not tomorrow, but the following,
Yeah.
Wednesday. And if I don't hear anything by then, between now and then, I'm just gonna have to bring it up next week. Because we got to talk about it. I know they're afraid to put out the official notice about proms and graduation, but at this point, you have to say, hey, look, we want to make sure that your children are safe. If we were to have this and hundreds of students end up testing positive for this, you guys would be suing the district, blaming the district. So at the same token, we can't take on that liability either.
Yeah.
Because then they would say that we were careless and what have you, because we exposed all those students to some. A student showed up and they were infected, and all the other students.
And you knew
and
about it. That's what they
and
said.
we knew
You
about
knew
it.
about it. But
And
y'all
we
were
knew about it.
arguing us to death.
Exactly. So we can't. You have to err on the side of caution sometimes, and I think that would be to just pull the plug on it and say, look, we want everybody to be safe. That's
I
the
doubt
biggest
whether
thing.
those kids would want to go anyway. Well, the kids would want to go, but I doubt whether
Right. Right.
the kids would want to go, because I think
Exactly.
now, like up until like maybe 3 weeks ago, they were still playing
Yeah.
basketball. I mean, like they would go and play basketball together like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
Can you
Yeah.
have
So
more than
that's another
you have
thing.
up
When
to
March
3?
Madness went down the tubes. I mean, I'm not a sports fan, but that's usually a big, like when my brother were talking earlier. That's usually a very big, big money maker in terms of sports. March Madness, and that pretty much went down the tubes. And it's kind of crazy between what happened to the and like I said, I'm not big on on sports. Uh, Young man and his daughter and two other families that died in the plane crash. Between that and then taking away March Madness and all of this other stuff coming, I mean, people have been really dealing with a lot of grief. What was the gentleman's name?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. Yeah, and his daughter and there were a couple of other families on there as well. And I mean, between that tragedy, remember, people hadn't really gotten past that.
You can't get past
And
that.
boom,
Too many people.
yeah, here
Right.
comes something else. So, I mean, I don't know. I know they're going to have to provide pretty soon. They're going to have to provide, maybe even the CDC might have to provide, an 800 number just for count. And you know what? That might end up getting overloaded because you'll have millions of people calling that number.
There
So
is
you see what I'm
one.
saying?
There actually
Yeah,
is one. There,
there's one.
yeah, but I don't know if it's just specific to my community. Let me just look real.
Oh, okay.
And Adam was asking if you can have up to 300 people on a Zoom call.
That I'm not sure. I know the last one we had 100 people. I was told by a councilman that you can have up to that amount, but I've never personally. I got a feeling that the amounts that you can have is probably based on if I think like a free account. I don't know if a free account can have that many or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they probably might have, pay grades based on how many people you're trying to have in your meeting. I got the strange feeling they're going to try to change that now because everybody's circling around Zoom. So I got a feeling they're going to try to, they'll give you so many for free. And then if you go over that,
Yeah,
they'll change the price tag for it.
because you're overloading the system.
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
got a feeling, they're going to try to. So, but we had, like I said, if it wasn't 100, it was close. It was at least 80,
That's there's a hotline right there. I
Say
believe
again?
this is the hotline. I don't know if you have time to write it down,
Okay.
but there's a hotline number for New Jersey. I'm not sure if it's just exclusively to my town or just New
Okay.
Jersey in general.
Okay.
It's the 877-65. I'll inbox you with it. But I just put it in the chat. For anyone who needs like counseling or anyone who needs just to know resources about what is available to you during this virus season. I just put an
Yeah.
800 number in the chat for New Jersey residents. That's something that you can try to call. I don't know if out of state people want to try. You can try if you want, but I don't know. Hey, Carter's Eats. Sorry, I got to say hello to Carter's Eats. That's one of our members. She joined the membership perks club. Hey, Carter's Eats. Carter's Eats. Yes. Welcome. Sorry about that. Yeah. But I'll inbox you on Instagram that hotline number because somebody gave it to me because they needed counseling over the phone. They're by themselves, found out that one of their family members, one of their parents got the virus and they couldn't, of course, naturally go see them or whatever. So they found that. Oh, snap. Miss Tiara's a new member too. Welcome to the Perks Club. Yes. Hey. So yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I would too, Adam. Adam is gonna call the police on the people that are going to the park just running around. I'm good, Leticia. I'm good. I would be chatting with you guys more, but I wanted to make sure we gave Corey some time. But I'm good, Leticia. All is well. I don't know. So like, I work in the private sector, and knowing that there's a private sector, I doubt whether let me not doubt, but I'm very unsure of when they're going to be able to recuperate from this whole situation.
Exactly. I think it's going to be sometime August, September when the private sector is really going to be able to go. Because right now there's a battle between the president and the governors because he wants to open everything up in May. But, Governor Cuomo was like, look, if it's not safe, I'm not opening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know what his problem is. The governors are the ones who determine when a state opens or closes, not the president. So, and that's the law. So it's interesting. It's heating up because he knows that his pockets are getting tapped because all this time that there's no business. It just shows you how many business interests he has around.
Oh yeah,
it's affecting his pocket. So he's trying to open up everything again.
Yeah, well, hey, if you were in that position, I'm
Right.
pretty sure you like, look, if you were
Yeah.
Oprah, Jeff, or any one of them, you look,
Yeah.
you
They
need to
want that
revitalize
$2 trillion
the
to come
movie so
back.
you can eat.
Exactly.
Welcome
Wow.
to the membership. What is P? Welcome. Leticia, all you have to do is hit that join button and you can look at the video. And then once you hit the join button, there'll be some different selections that you can make on how to join. Oh, thank you, 1SP. He said that was my birthday gift. I appreciate you. That was my little birthday gift. Thank you. Caroline says our governor ain't playing with him. Uh-oh. Who's your governor, Carolyn?
Say again.
Carolyn said that her governor isn't playing with him. So I just asked
That's right.
who her governor was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I saw Cuomo today, and you know what? The news reporters were asking, um, would he be inclined to, do a lawsuit if the president kept pushing? He said, look, basically told him that he grew up in a family of all attorneys. His father was an attorney. He's an attorney. So basically, Cuomo was saying, bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Like his whole family and he knows the law, and he knows that the president doesn't know the law. And you're not, the president of the United States is not the king of the country. There are channels that he has to go through, and state operations are under the direct guidance of the governor. That's why we elect governors for each state. There's no king president over everybody. He's actually under the discretion of the legislative branch, the Senate and Congress. They have to, whatever he want to do, it can't get done without Congress and the Senate approving it. Even if it's an executive order, if they don't want it to go through, they got enough votes to stop it. And it doesn't look good when they have to override the president. So what does he do? He plays politics, gives them a little what they want, what he wants, because it would never look good for Congress to have to stop a president from getting something done. It doesn't look good. You see how they did to President Obama? They stopped him from doing a lot when he was in there. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting when May 1st comes. It's going to be interesting to see what these governors decide to do. I know our governor um, is our governor is really strict in terms of making sure that everything is at a safer pace before he reopens, the state parks and the malls and the movie theaters and so on. But again, the president, he has a lot of business interests. He knows that everybody's going to be getting some coins. He wants to come spend them at his businesses, so he's trying to
Right.
open up everything.
Adam was saying,
Yeah.
he's not making any money from his hotels, buildings, and golf courses. Yep, he was laughing about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so we
Yeah,
got the boys riding around tonight. They ride around every night around this time.
to make sure everybody's in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, they ride around. They come through, they wave. They know that I'm usually standing out here, but I don't try to like go around or walk. I know, they know I'm standing here. I'm usually standing with my brother, and then we don't like challenge them and then go walking, or we know that they have a curfew. We know why it's in place, so we hang out over here. And like I said, they'll come by. Sometimes they'll wave. Sometimes they'll just ride and just kind of look around, make sure things are okay. Then they're on their way. You know, because I'm right across the street from the Passaic County Administration Building and the courthouse, so I get to see all of the activity all day long when I'm home. So even though everything's been closed, there's still been a lot of activity here because they're patrolling different areas and things like that. So that keeps me from being bored all day.
Let me ask you one question too. How has after the Jameek situation, how has your relationship with the authority, well, with the precincts been since then?
It's been good. I'll be honest with you. The police chief that was there when this whole thing went down, he left. He was gone. There's a new one there. A lot of the African American officers there, I don't want to call their names or anything, I'm gonna get in trouble, but a lot of them were glad that somebody stepped up and said something because they were tired of being harassed even within the department. So a lot of them really appreciated the fact that I actually stood up and fought the way I did. So I'm sure there's still a couple of folks who in the agency who don't really like me too much at all, but for the most part, a lot of them do because they're happy that they knew that something bad happened to him, but they weren't able to say anything. Of course, they were under a gag order; they couldn't say anything, but they were glad that somebody had the heart to stand up and speak, on behalf of him and on behalf of the family.
And do you think that this case was because this case was exposed, that all of those indictments came after? Because I see it all the time on Instagram, mainly on Instagram, how this detective were all, pretty much removed and going to jail because of some type of scandal. Do you think that kind of sparked this thing that you were actively, going protesting about, sparked that kind of
They,
fall?
yeah, the FBI was already investigating that. They were already in the middle of an investigation with them, with the police making these illegal arrests and taking money. They were already, this rallying and what we did for Jameek pretty much it fueled the fire. But they were already honing in on several police officers that were doing these illegal, arrests and taking people's money and things like that. This was already something that they were investigating. So when we came behind with um, this particular rally and the war cry for Jameek, it enabled them. I really believe it enabled them to strengthen their case. And like you said, as we were going after them, sooner or later, officers started getting swept up off the street, and their stories were being put out about how they were taking money from people. And I really believe that, Jameek's case was heavily a part of what took place in terms of exposing people in the police department, because he even said in his video, you guys think that I was working with the FBI, or you guys think I was talking to. That's what he said in his video.
Yeah, he
He said,
did.
you guys want to kill me. You guys think I was working for the FBI. I really believe there was a connection there somewhere, and I'm still looking at it, but I knew he said those words on camera. You guys think that I'm messing. Well, he used a different expression, but he was saying, you guys think that I was messing with the FBI, and so
So
on.
so
So
Jameek
there
knew
was
something.
something there.
He knew something. I said
Yeah,
he
he
has
knew
to know
exactly.
something.
He knew something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't make statements like that for nothing. He knew something, and they obviously knew that he knew something. So, hence the reason he didn't live much longer after that video. But luckily, what they didn't, what they were hoping is that he just recorded it. You understand, on his phone, regular video. With that, you could erase it or get rid of the phone, and you can't. There's no way you could post the video because it was just recorded on your phone. But luckily, he went live instead of recording it on his phone. He went live, so that way, as soon as his battery died, the video automatically uploaded to his page.
So
So
what was he saying? I know he was saying he was running or whatever. Like, did he already get beat up before he got to the precinct?
yeah, that's what was. There's a lot of stories out there, but it was said that he was being targeted by certain people in the police department because he was exposing some of them for what they were doing. And that night, he had showed up at the police station with no shoes on because he had gotten beat up. His shoes had been taken and things like that. And when he was in there, he was saying that they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me.
And
I
he
need
said,
some
please
help.
help.
I need some water.
And they were
So
just
he knew.
standing around. They were just standing around. I
That's right. They
swear.
were standing around with their feet up on the railing like a bar stool. They weren't even moving. They weren't taking down his information. They weren't doing nothing. They were just sitting there. He was telling them what he felt was going to happen, and they basically told him, "No, that's not going to happen. Don't worry about it. That's not going to happen." And he was telling them over and over and over, they're going to kill me. They're going to, they're going to kill me. I'm going to be dead. And they said, "No, we're getting you an ambulance." And then he said, "They're going to kill me in the ambulance." Then he turned to the camera. He said, "I'm sorry, Mod. I love you, Mod, but they're going to kill your baby boy." Like, he, over and over again, he talked about the fact, he said specifically, if I'm dead within the next hour or two, they did it, you know? I didn't do anything to them. He said, but if I'm dead within the next hour or two, they did it. And sure enough, he was dead in the next hour or two. So it's a very, very grim, bone chilling video. And it's even, and what makes it even scary is the fact that what he kept saying was going to happen actually happened. Yep. And that was without a doubt one of the biggest cases that I had, um, to date,
What is going
without a
on?
doubt.
I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Okay.
I saw the video. I think you posted on Facebook, but I was able to see it on Instagram. The video of the young lady. I think she was in a domestic violence situation, and you were interviewing her in front of her home. What's going on with her?
Yeah, Tashelle is doing much better now. She's at her home. She has a nice place, and she's getting better. She still has a lawsuit pending against the sheriff's department. As you know, the person that her estranged boyfriend is in prison for the rest of his life, and she had a
Can you
stroke
just tell them?
recently.
Can you just tell them the story because they're all getting this information just from my little part, but
Say it again now.
I said, can you tell them the story about what happened? Because they're only hearing this for the first time.
Oh, okay. Let me come in here because let me. I'll be right back, James. Let me come in here only because that machine is so loud. Sorry if it's a little dark. I got to get my battery.
No problem.
Michelle, this was January. Actually, this was around. Actually, this was around the same time of the up. No, no, no. Actually, no. It was January of 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Um, she was actually going through a situation with her estranged boyfriend. He didn't want to leave her alone. She asked him to please, pretty much going about his business. He lured he lured her into a certain location, and then when he realized that she wasn't going to accept his advances, he started pistol whipping her, and he shot her 5 times. Shot her in the face, shot her in her arm, in her forearm, shot her on her. I believe it was. I don't know if it was in her leg. I know that she got pretty much beaten all throughout her body, and she endured bruises and scars. Uh, I know she had blood clots. I mean, if you saw the picture, I don't know if you guys have ever been on my page, on my Facebook page, to see the picture where she was in the hospital. Her face was swollen, her eyes were swollen shut. She had bandages on her arms, on her legs, on her torso, because she had been shot everywhere. And this was from her estranged boyfriend. After he beat her, basically, because he was a boxer, he was a professional boxer, so his hands were actually registered as lethal
A
weapons.
weapon.
So he actually, go ahead. Your food's over there. Your food's over there on the table. Okay. Yeah. So he actually got in trouble anyway for putting his hands on her because his hands, again, like I said, were registered as lethal weapons. But it wasn't enough for him to do that. He then took the butt of the gun and just started beating her senselessly with that. Um, she had to spend so much time in the hospital. She had to spend so much time in rehabilitation. Um, and the emotional, psychological trauma from all of this is still there because at the time when this took place, the sheriff's officer, who was a sergeant, I mean, right now there's still some things going on with that, but he was a sergeant, so he was a high-ranking member of the sheriff's department. He pretty much just sat in his car, which the newspaper did release the video of him sitting in his car while she was being beaten and shot by her estranged boyfriend. So, needless to say, she is, there is a lawsuit still in place, and I spoke to her actually today, and she's in the house. She's not, coming out, especially with what's going on, but she is strong. She sounds good, and I talked to her, and how she survived that is beyond me. When you actually saw how badly she was bruised, and the length of time she had to learn how to walk again, He basically knocked out all her teeth. She had to get all new teeth, with the gun, shooting her in her mouth. It blew out part of her gums, so she had to get reconstructive surgery to get her gum put back in place, and she had to get all new teeth because the teeth were all knocked out from the bullets from the gun. So, I mean, I don't know how she survived it all. I tell her that all the time, but she's still here. That's a rough story, I know. I'm sure people are probably like, "Whoa," but that actually happened January 2018, and that was another big one. I forgot to mention that one. That was another big one.
Yeah, I remember her. I remember her when I saw that video. And what I liked about the video was how she was speaking out against it. I didn't know the extent. I knew she was shot, but I didn't know to the extent of how long she had to endure that brutal moment.
I think
And the
it went on
fact
for
that the
maybe
cop was
10,
still
15
out
minutes
there, that's a long time. And the
to
cop
go through
was
that.
sitting out there.
Exactly.
The cop was sitting out there. That's crazy.
Yeah, and
It's
they
like,
had the video. NorthJersey.com put the video out that show him, you know, we had the video prior to that, but they were saying that they wanted the lawyer to put things in place before the video came out. And I think it was better that the newspaper put it out so they couldn't say that, we made up something or something like that. But yeah, you can literally see him, and then you see him after that talking to his colleagues, pretty much bragging that he got out the way, that he wasn't going over there. So, needless to say, but no amount of money is gonna. I mean, for the damage that was, to be pistol whipped and shot, and all because she didn't want to be bothered with him no more. You know what I
and
mean?
all because somebody said I love you, like that's
Yeah,
somebody she used to love, and he
yeah.
used to love her. So like that, an emotional roller coaster for her. When you speak to her again, just let her know, we all said hello, and I'm glad
Okay.
she's doing a lot better. But
Yeah, she
I
is.
think about her from time to time though.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes I call just to see. I know her family and stuff is around to help out. I know there's still a home health aide that comes there to help out. And I do believe she still go to physical therapy, but it's all right. I mean, compared to what happened, again, there's a lot of people who can't seem to understand how she even made it through that. You know, so I mean, it's and that, like I said, that was the other one. Those were the two cases, the two big ones. So 2018 it was Tashelle Jackson's case, and then 2019 Jameek Lowry. I wish that Jameek was still here to tell his story. Every day I wish that he was still alive, so he could have at least been able to talk about what he went through. But thankfully we had the video. He was able to go live. But I would have wanted with everything for him to be able to do a video with me, interviewing him about what he went through. But unfortunately, they made sure they wanted to make sure that he couldn't talk anymore. But what they didn't realize is he already had enough in a live video for us to go on. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions for Corey? Just to remind you guys, he is on the school board in his town, and he's also an activist. If you have any situations that you may, have questions about, Corey's for the people. His information is actually in the inside the description because when you first came on, when we just had the phone, I put your
Right.
information in there because you were welcome
Oh.
back then. It's always been
Okay.
there. So like
Cool.
you guys can always check that out if you want to scroll through. What up, Purple Love? I'm not gonna sing your song today, but if you scroll through, you can find his information. Or if you want to just actually, I'm gonna put you full circle right now. If you want to just say some words of inspiration, and if any other questions come up, then I'll put it up on the screen. But just any closing remarks, okay?
All right. Well, I just want to make sure that everybody stays encouraged with all that's going on. I know this is not the easiest time. Like I said, I've lost a few friends and loved ones and people that I knew and had a lot of respect for. So it's a trying time for us right now. But I just need everybody to hold on, and just make sure you check on one another, and if you feel like it's too much for you to bear, sometimes you might have to take a walk. Put your mask on for sure, and go do what you need to do and come back. But without a doubt, it's a trying time, and we all just have to hang in there together until we get through it. So my prayer for you is that you continue to be encouraged and inspired, and feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, Corey Lewis Teague. You can also go to, I have a second page, Corey L. Teague, and then on Instagram, I have Teague for Patterson, and then on YouTube, also Corey L. Teague. So there's different ways you can find me, and my link is also in the description here, as Joy said, and be the difference. So thank you all for having me tonight, and I'm looking forward to coming back to give you guys an update on what's going on with the virus, and even what's going on in the city of Patterson. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to sit down with you and answer any questions you have. Okay.
All right, guys. I was trying to find it to scroll it through. Um, I normally, before I leave anywhere, I always like to say a little parting word. Just to remind everyone, I am here every single night between 7 and 9. It's called Hello World. We talk about everything and anything. Corey, I really appreciate you being here and just, giving us a little insight on how it is to be in the public, in the public sector where you're doing stuff for the people. I really appreciate that. I'm over here still trying to find your links real quick. I really appreciate that you have been so active in my life and in Hello World, and just supporting the vision, the dream, the company, all of that good stuff. I definitely appreciate you there. Guys, remember, you are beautiful. You are amazing. There is no mistake about you. Everything that you've gone through in your life, don't take it for granted. If you want anything to be better, just do a little better. And like Corey said, we're together. Together we can do so much more. We're stronger as a unit instead of one. He gave the example of how he got into office was because people band together and said, "Not on my watch. We want him there." So remember, if you want things to happen governmentally, that's like a new word, right? If you want things to happen governmentally, definitely do something on that and be able to. Yeah, I can't find it. You have to stand together and do things together. Yeah, I can't find it. I'm still looking through. It's definitely tucked in somewhere. Yeah, I'll find it and put it back up again. But my name is Joy from Be the Difference Clothing, and that was Corey LT, and we are signing out on another episode of Hello. And thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you tomorrow between 7 and 9. Oh, wait, he's came back. You're back.
Yep, I'm back. Yep.
Yep. And I was just telling them, you're more than welcome to come on anytime, whenever. I'm here. If you have, once things start moving back in the government, if you ever need to come back on and have a platform, you got it anytime.
Yep. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, everybody says good night and thank you. So you have to say hello world with me. My name is Joy from Be the Difference Clothing, and this is
Corey Teague.
And we are signing out on another episode of Hello World. Yes.